Good morning, church. It is good to be with you today. We are getting close to the end of our look at Proverbs, and it has been a joy to study and to prepare thoughts and to just go through this together. We are looking at Proverbs 30 today, and I know I've said this like every single time, but Proverbs 30 might be my favorite chapter that I've had to approach and prepare thoughts for. It's very challenging, it's very convicting, and it has blessed me, and it's helped me think about how can I devote my life more to God and to Jesus and to living by the Spirit. So let's dive in. Proverbs 30, verse 1. It begins, "The sayings of Agur, son of Jakeh, an oracle meaning a divine utterance or a word or a revelation from God." It goes on to say, "This man declared to Ithiel and to Ukal." Now, before we go any further, I wanted to point out that in most of Proverbs, if not all of Proverbs, they're answers, they're wisdom pieces from God saying, this will direct you, this will give you direction, this is the truth from God that will lead to a beautiful life now and a beautiful life forever in Jesus Christ. And so it's very interesting that Proverbs 30 starts off with him saying to Ithiel and to Ukal, because the Hebrew words, it translates roughly to, "I am weary, O God, and faint." Other translations say, "I am weary, God, but I can prevail." So this divine utterance, this divine answer is not so much a concrete truth, but it's already a statement of questioning. Let's keep reading and see what Agur has to say. Starting in verse 2. "I am the most ignorant of men. I do not have a man's understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Who has gathered up the wind in the hollow of his hands? Who has wrapped up the waters in his cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name and the name of his son? Tell me if you know." So this guy, Agur, has this divine utterance. We don't know who Agur is, but I'm so glad that they chose to put his writings in Proverbs because it's such a good ending. Whenever so much of it is answers, he ends it with this blessed humility towards God. He says, "I have tried my whole life to gain understanding. I'm tired, I feel weak, I feel faint, but I can prevail with God." He goes on to say, basically, "I don't have all the answers. I don't even have the best of human understanding, and I don't really know who God is like I want to." And then he's kind of saying back to God, "But you know the answer, and please tell me, because I know that you know." There's actually a foreshadowing of Jesus, and that he's talking about what is his name and the name of his son. So this is kind of a prophecy pointing to Jesus that will truly reveal God's nature, God's love for us, and what God is doing in his creation. So what I want to start off by saying is, what if our greatest revelations from God aren't concrete answers, but actually a humble questioning of, what do I need from you, God? What do I not know that I need to know? And there's also a reminder that sometimes we don't have to know everything. The point of following Christ, the point of giving our lives to him, is not that we will become independent, superior, perfect people that have all the answers. No, the point in following Christ is that we are dependent on him and that we live the life with God so that we can give him the glory and enjoy the beautiful life he has for us. We need to be more comfortable with questions and not always thinking that we have to have the answers. Israel, after all, means to wrestle with God. God's people always were wrestling with who God was, but also who they were and what it means to be his people in this world. Let's continue on. In verse 5, "Every word of God is flawless. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar." So he's saying, God, give me what I need, but I do know that everything in your word is true. Everything in your word is is real, if I go away from it and if I try to add to it, if I take out the parts that I don't like, I'm a liar and I will come to ruin from it. And I think that that is encouraging / a challenge to us. If there's parts of the Bible that you wrestle with to the point that you don't like those texts, it's okay to wrestle with them, but don't ever say, I'm not going to look at that and I'm not going to consider that, because God gave us the Bible for a reason and everything in it is there for a reason. In fact, kind of going with this idea, it might be there so that it will challenge you to wrestle and to grow with God. Continuing on, probably one of the coolest passages in all of Scripture. 2 things I ask of you, O Lord, do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my God. And I think for Americans today, we live in such a world based on money. This one hits home for just about all of us. He's saying, all right, God, I'm dependent on you. I don't know you like I want to, but please give me the lifestyle, give me the money, give me the point in life, in place in society that I can come to know you more. And this is very challenging because Kimberly and I, I'm a minister. We don't have a lot of money, and we find ourselves sometimes wanting more money. We want to have the luxurious trips. We want to have the nice cars. We want to have the really nice house. But whenever you read these passages, it begins to dawn on you, you know what? We don't have the nicest of things, but we have enough. God always looks out for us. And you know what? We are getting to know God more. We're getting to see the beauties of life because we don't have these things that would distract us. And so what this says for me, and if I'm being honest, is so often I look forward to later in life when we don't have the financial hardships that we have. But this is saying, hey, those financial hardships, not having all the nice stuff, that can be actually a better thing because you get to know God. Continuing on, in verse 10, do not slander a servant to his master, or he will curse you, and you will pay for it. Imagine if you were to go into an office and you were to gripe about an employee to the boss, and that employee, the boss says, that employee is one of my favorite employees. How dare you say that about him or her? A lot of people are watching right now The Last Dance, and it's about the Chicago Bulls. Imagine if you were to go up to Michael Jordan and you were to say, Scottie Pippen, that guy's trash. He's not Michael Jordan. And then Michael Jordan would probably say, hey, he's my teammate. We've been through a lot together, and don't you say that about him. Whenever we bash anyone on planet Earth, in some ways we are bashing God's servants. I think God would say, whenever we say, this person is an idiot, he or she, they just don't, I can't stand them. God would say, that's my chosen son. That's my chosen daughter. Be careful what you say because I love them and I made them just like I made you, and you have weaknesses. We need to keep that in mind. Another passage that really stood out, it's cool seeing that Agur, he actually has quite a bit of wisdom, starts off by questioning, and then he moves into really cool stanzas of wisdom. I'm going to share 2 more passages, and then we'll be done. Starting in verse 24 through 28, it reads, 4 things on earth are small, yet they are extremely wise. Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. They have their priorities straight. They know that they can't play around and mess with other stuff. They know that they need to gather food so that they will have something to eat. 26. Conies, or rock badgers, are creatures of little power, yet they make their home in the crags. So they live on the cliffs. They understand the importance and severity of consequences. So if they were to mess around too much, they probably wouldn't survive a fall of 100 feet. They know that it's important that they are secure in how they're moving around on the cliffs. 27, locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. Teamwork, community, they get it. They work together, and we as people should be working together. And then verses 28, a lizard can be caught with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces. So this little tiny creature is able to just maneuver and go wherever he or she wants. And I think the big takeaway of that is the wisdom of timing. There is a time where we need to be urgent and say, get it immediately, let's go. But then there's many times where we should be patient, sit back and say, it's okay, God's got this, let's not make any rash decisions. So from this passage, really something to think about are your priorities about God. Do you understand consequences for our actions? Do you value teamwork and community? And do you have a sense of timing, or do you rely on God for timing? And then lastly, I want to just read 32 and 33. It reads, if you have played the fool and exalted yourself, or if you have planned evil, clap your hand over your mouth. For as churning the milk produces butter, and as twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. If you disobey God, if you are bitter people, if you don't follow his commands, strife will come, difficulties will come, and life will get a lot more difficult. I hope you have a blessed day. Let's be people that are humble, and we look to God for his divine, humble presence and attitude. And let's just follow him because he is good and he loves us. Have a good day.